following is a local resident producer's program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of CATV2, Oshkosh Community Media Services, the City of Oshkosh, or Time Warner Cable.
Welcome to Eye on Oshkosh. Cheryl Hentz here, and very pleased to be joined this evening by an old friend of ours and mine. Joe Ferlo is here from the Oshkosh Grand Opera House, and we're going to be talking about the season that they just finished, the upcoming season, and special things that they have going on for the upcoming summer months. So with that, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thanks for being here. You pinch hit for me at a very, very late notice.
Oh, we don't have to tell people that. They
No. Gordon Hentz was actually supposed to be here tonight, and kind of at the last minute couldn't make it. He's going to be here in a couple of weeks, and I called Joe and I said, help! So here he is. So thank you very much.
The rumor has it that once I start talking, I can go for 15 or 20 minutes. We'll see how this goes tonight.
Well, I appreciate your being here. So you just wrapped up your most recent season.
That's right. We just closed it last weekend with Steve March Torme. Last weekend as we tape, that is, with Steve March Torme mid-May. And it was a pretty good year. I mean, things have started to turn. It's kind of when you reopen a business after being closed, you know, and you have to refine your audience. And between that and the economy and, frankly, the way things are in the arts right now, drawing that audience back is a challenge, but it has started to rebound now. We've really started to see the trends, particularly from about the holiday season last December going through the spring. The audiences have started to find their way back, and I've got some really high hopes going forward.
Yeah. You know, I've got to imagine that is really tough to do, Joe, because, you know, the PAC up in Appleton is a wonderful venue like ours here, and you guys are running different kinds of performances for sure.
Right.
So at least you're not, you know, vying for those same kinds of dollars necessarily, and yet it is arts and entertainment dollars. You know, do you feel the impact?
There's always an impact. It's not necessarily in terms of the audience, although I think ultimately it does. Where I feel it the most is if you think of the piece of the pie of us having, you know, a quarter, and that's probably more than it really is. You know, a smaller piece of the pie in general. It's not just the audience we're talking about; it's the market. It's the advertising market. It's the idea of getting the word out there. There is a much larger publicity machine and resource available to that organization because they're significantly larger.
Sure.
And so capturing the attention of the audience is what's difficult. Once we get people in the door to the Grand for the first time, it's usually not hard to get them back.
Yeah.
But it's capturing their attention away from, you know, Wicked, you know, or Jersey Boys. I mean, those are big shows.
Yeah, they are.
And they wouldn't work at Grand necessarily. Right. So it's not so much that it's a show that's a challenge. It's making sure that people know, hey, we're here, we're open, we've got great stuff too. And so much of our audiences go to both of those venues because they like to see all of what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's capturing the attention in the market that is the biggest challenge, I think, for us.
You know, I've kind of lost track of how long you've been here now. How long have you been?
Well, I don't know when this show will air time-wise, but we'll be approaching or hitting my 10th anniversary is June the 7th.
Okay. So, wow. Well, this is very timely then.
So,
see, Gordon Hentz must have known this.
He must have known it. It's nice of him to throw this to me.
Well, and I'm glad I thought to call you right away too. See, we're all the wheels are clicking here.
That's right.
When you first came here, I don't think you were probably here more than 6 months. And our very first conversation was on the phone, and it was for a magazine that I was writing an article for on the performing arts centers in the Northeast Wisconsin area. You remember that?
I do.
I do too. And I was so impressed with you back then. And, you know, so in the 10 years, almost 10 years since you've been here, we've had a recession that hit probably about 6 or 7 years ago. What kind of impact have you seen that make on your revenue or the clientele that you get in?
You know, it's interesting because not only did we hit a recession, the worst recession in recent memory,
Yep.
we were closed. We had an emergency closure in the middle of that recession.
Yep.
So for a year and a half. And we're kind of a case study for performing arts centers, both in the state and in the region. I get calls all the time because not only do we find our way through that, but we found our way through that at that time.
Yeah.
So you can expect that all of the things that would happen in a recession to any business, you know, in terms of people having to make different choices and losing your audience, certainly the fringe of your audience was going to happen. But then on top of that, we lost our audience because we didn't have a place for them to go. And even though we kept our shows going for that first half of it, then we went the entire year after that half year with a smaller schedule in different venues, and our identity was saving the Grand, not presenting at the Grand.
Yeah.
And so many good things happened as a result of that that are still finding their way back. We had those conversations with the Oshkosh Symphony Orchestra that brought them into the Grand. That happened actually just before we closed, that they started to do concerts at the Grand. And then during that time we were closed, we had the same conversation with the Oshkosh Community Players. And now that organization is thriving, doing 3 shows a year and doing all this work. And then as we came out of it, we had that thought of staging the Spirits of the Grand tours, the theme-related interactive tours. And I contacted this group and to write that Spirits of the Grand tour. And that group grew and became Hysterical Productions, another resident company in the theater that just did this giant Les Miserables last spring. And so now so much of our schedule is being filled with these quality citizen artists.
Yeah.
And it's a soapbox I get on easily and stay on. So we're looking at our time down here. But this area is so richly blessed with A-list quality artists who have chosen to live here because of all the reasons we choose to live here.
Sure.
And as a result, you can walk into a restaurant on a Thursday and some crazy talented musician is going to be playing in the corner, you know, or our gallery walks. You know, we have live musicians. There are live musicians playing every weekend somewhere. And our symphony is full of quality, you know, musicians. These people who have been on the stage, and you know, I've had the opportunity to both watch, to direct, and to act alongside these actors who are of the highest level, but they just choose to live here. We're all so rich for that, and that's become a focus of the Grand alongside presenting, you know, wonderful touring artists and wonderful educational programs, is to have a place where we can celebrate the quality of the artistry that's right here in our region. And that all happened as a result, really, of dealing with the recession, of dealing with the closure and finding our way back out of it. We all found our way out of it together. Sure. And now, as we go into the new season, you know, that'll be announced in the weeks and months to come, there's this whole growth, you know, with the symphony, with community players, with Hysterical Productions, taking large segments of our schedule, and all of them become shows that become part of the subscription series. Sure. So everybody wins, and then you take that and you augment that with the kinds of artists that play our intimate hall so well. And the schools that call our place home. And now, over the last couple years, as a result, and since that recession, the Grand Lounge, which is taking on its own identity as a place for nightlife, as a place where people can go and hear those artists and enjoy, you know, our kind of Lux Lounge atmosphere.
Sure.
And so there's a whole, and it's a work in progress. We're not selling out everything yet. We sold out some good stuff this year, though. It happened again. It hadn't happened in a while. And now the lounge is going to have its most busy schedule ever. When it's all said and done, we'll have over 110 performances booked into the Grand this year, and that's sitting here right now at the beginning of the year. And the Grand itself gets used when you add the rehearsals and the weddings and the other events that are going on and the meetings and the parties. Over 275 days this year. It's one of the best utilized city buildings in Oshkosh.
Wow.
And that's all grown from being closed for a year and a half. It was a challenge, don't get me wrong. Coming out of the recession is a huge challenge, and we're still struggling with it,
Sure.
as are not just the arts, but nonprofits and businesses everywhere. But so many good things have happened because of the adjustments we made on the fly during that time that we were closed. And one of the best things that our foundation board did back at that time was commit, not knowing when the end was in sight, to saying we're going to keep our staff, we're going to keep our director, and we're going to plan our way forward from here. So hats off to them and to the community for sticking with us, because we're finding this whole new identity, and that new identity goes back to that first question you asked. That's how we find our place in the entertainment scene for the Valley, is by being just a little bit different, by highlighting those local artists which aren't percentage-wise as big a part of the mix at PAC. To take that Grand Lounge and program it into part of the nightlife and part of the and you're going to see it's a crazy eclectic season that's coming. We have our traditional audiences in that age demographic, and we know who they are.
Yeah.
And when we have this incredible college, and we use the term loosely, it's and affectionately, the hipster audience, the younger people in the community who are looking for something to do on the weekend that may not be sitting down and watching a show. It may be sitting in a lounge atmosphere, listening to a show while they're visiting, while they're finding the social atmosphere that's going on as well. We're going to find our way around all of that, and it's going to be the most eclectic and diverse offering I think I know that we've had in the time that I've been here. And the idea is not for me to look at you, Cheryl, and say, I've got 100 shows, I've got 50 shows, and I want you to like all of them. You're not going to like all of them.
Right.
I'm not going to like all of them.
Right.
That's not the point. The point is that we found that I can look at you and say, what do you like? Oh, really? Here's something on the schedule that you might like. And to find that for the widest number of audience members, so that everybody can find a half dozen reasons to get to the Grand, and we're not relying on 400 people to go to everything.
Sure. Right.
That's really that's the whole point of where we're going and where we're moving things along going forward. And that comes out of the challenges of the closure, that comes out of the challenges of the recession, that comes out of the challenges of the market.
Sure. Well, one quick question on not just your last 10 years.
That's all you seem to have time for is a quick question. I get a long answer.
Well, then I want to get into your upcoming stuff, including one that is a biggie, Jeff Daniels coming. But you talked about challenges, and no doubt the repairs that had to be made over there, that was a huge challenge. But when you look back over the span of your career, Joe, would you say that is, I don't know, probably one of the biggest challenges you've ever had to deal with?
I'm sure that when I look back at my career, which I hope still has some time left to it, it's going to be one of the top and one of the proudest moments. I am well aware, and I had been throughout, of the great trust that was placed in my staff and me to do it right, to do it in a way that would last. And we don't have, in my business, the opportunity just to be 12 feet below the beautiful ornamental ceiling of the Grand Opera House and to be the custodian of making sure that it's restored appropriately. It's a great honor. It's a great honor. And yes, there were great moments of crisis and thinking on your feet, and it was like a battlefield at times. But most of the time I was able to sit back and really savor, the fact that I probably won't get to do this again. There are plans, there's always plans. We may improve the Grand further,
Sure.
as years go on. But to take that challenge of that ceiling in that work and to do it in a way that it ended up, that was a great honor. And I can't look at it any other way. Of course it was a challenge, and of course we have to come out of it. But so many great stories and so many friends and so many moments of grace along the way that were enabled. I remember going into the council meeting that night with all of those people who were prepared to speak that I had not known would be prepared to speak. And we had this rally out front, and I had the proverbial megaphone. I don't think I used one. I think I just used my voice.
Your outdoor voice.
My outdoor voice. But I remember the words that came up out of nowhere was that everybody involved that night really was prepared to be a hero. We just needed to enable them to be. And for all of the conversation on one side or the other that happened at that time, history is going to look back and go, this is what happened in Oshkosh, at that time for the Grand. And they're all heroes. I told my staff no one's going to remember our names, but they're going to remember that it happened.
Yeah.
We're going to know we were there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's take a look at Jeff Daniels and beyond. He's a favorite. He's been here many, many times. People love him, and I think he loves Oshkosh and the Grand.
It's a great story. It
so
really
what's
is.
Tell us the story.
Jeff was here last, and it's a great segue, of course. He was the artist that opened the Grand in 2010 after being closed. We did a community survey, and he had been here 2 times previous. And the community pretty overwhelmingly said, this is the artist we want to open the Grand. And I reached out to his agent and said, here's our story. Here's what I can afford. Would you at least take the offer to him? And of course he had been here, and the story grabbed him, and he took the offer, and he came and he did a show privately for the donors, did a show publicly to open the theater. He recorded a public service announcement from the stage that day that we still use. And I remember vividly sitting with, and he spent an inordinately amount, percentage of his spare time practicing, because he loved playing in the hall.
Yeah.
And that comes across in his PSA, and it comes across in his show, it comes across in his quotes. And I remember when he left, he had taken a phone call in his RV. He had the RV parked outside, and he had taken a call, came back in, we were setting up for the commercial. And he said, I just got an offer accepted for a show. I thought, well, it's going to be a while. And he said, think of the stories I'll tell when I come back. And he left, and I had a kind of a standing offer with the agent. I said, it's going to be a while, but anytime he's ready, we're ready. And it's only been, as we sit here, probably it's under a month, 3 or 4 weeks maybe, that the phone rang, and the agent was on the phone, and he said, listen, this wasn't supposed to happen, but they wrapped up filming a couple weeks early, and Jeff wants to do a few gigs with his son. His son has a band that actually is a pretty cool band all in its own right. He said, he wants to do a handful of gigs. He's going to do just a dozen or so gigs. Are you interested? Oh, well, let me get back to you on that. No, of course I looked at, I said, my only concern were the dates. And he said, it's going to be in August. And I went, oh, so much going on. There's school in session. We want school to be in session. And he said August 24th. And I'm flipping, looking, when's EAA, when's the dragon boat races, when's all this stuff, all that cool stuff that goes on in the month on when do the kids get back? It's Sunday, and I'm like, oh, where's my Packer schedule? And for all the conflicts that go on in town, people may not think it's true, but I have, my calendar has all that stuff on it as much as I can, because you can't avoid it all, but you sure try.
Right.
It's like, oh, the Packers play their preseason game on Thursday or whatever it was, and I was like, we're good. I said, but I have a history of asking Jeff for too much. May we please have 2 shows to get the numbers up, and may we please do a donor. I've been doing this donor series in the Grand Lounge, up close and personal with the artists. Can we sneak that in between? And oh, by the way, here's what I can afford. You know, it hasn't gotten a lot better. And he said, he said, I'll take it to him. And he called back within, like, I don't know, I don't even think it was a day. He said, we're in.
Excellent.
We're in. He can't wait to be back. And my job has got a lot of negotiating in it, you know, and my reputation you say nationally and it sounds big, but they're national conferences, and is to say this is what I can afford.
Yeah.
And if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. There's only so much our audience can pay for a ticket, and then it's all math.
Yeah.
It's all math
Yeah.
at that point. So I rely a lot on the occasional artist to say, I get it. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay. I want to play the place. And so it's a real, you know, it's a hats off. It's not to me. It's to the Grand.
Sure, of course.
That this guy says, yeah, we'll come back. I want to do that in my 2 weeks that I'm going to do this tiny little Midwest tour. We want Oshkosh to be one of those places.
Right. Okay, we are almost out of time, but
surprise.
Let's talk for just a couple minutes on your new season, Jeff Daniels aside. Well, tell us what dates he's going to be here again.
Jeff is going to be here on the 24th of August, and those
Okay.
tickets go on sale to members first. It pays to be a member on July 1st.
Okay.
And to the general public on July 14th.
Okay.
And it's not part of the series. It's a standalone event. The series will start after Labor Day.
Okay.
And it will be a combination of events that we are booking, plus 2 concerts by the Oshkosh Symphony Orchestra, plus 3 productions by the Oshkosh Community Players, plus 3 productions by Hysterical Productions.
Okay.
So there'll be 14, 15, 16 shows to choose from, and people will be able to get discounts, mixing and matching 5 or more from any of those.
Okay.
So that will happen. It'll be announced probably piecemeal over time, because you want to get out there and let people know
Sure.
what to be excited about, and people want to start planning their calendars. But on July the 10th, our donors, our producer circle, will get a run through from me and from those partner organizations, and they'll be able to put their tickets out, you know, purchase their tickets. Again, being a member gets you advanced purchase opportunities. The Grand Scoop will be on the 19th, and that's when we'll announce, and packages will be available to the general
Okay.
public. Then August 1st, all seats for all shows go on sale.
Okay. What does it cost, Joe, to be a member?
$50 is the start.
Okay.
And
that's for like home.
Yeah, and that works its way. That can be that gets you the most important membership benefit, which is the advanced purchase option.
Okay.
Then the memberships go on. At 500, you become part of the producers circle, and that's when we have those 5 or 6 up close and personal events.
Okay.
So that's that. So membership, as you increase the level, obviously the benefits multiply from there.
Okay. All right, excellent. And your website, I think we've been probably putting it up throughout the show. Give it to us.
Yeah, I will. It's grandoperahouse.org, www.grandoperahouse.org.
Okay. And the phone number?
The phone number is 920-424-2350 for the box office.
Okay.
Box office is closed now till July 1st, though, so you
Okay.
want to go to the website and be prepared there. You can reach the administrative office, though, at 424-2355, where you can become a member.
All right. Always pitching, aren't you?
Always pitching. Hey, I've got something to go in reverse here. Those members will get 10 days to purchase Jeff Daniels tickets before the general public. Based on his attendance figures for the last times he's been here, that's a big deal.
I was going to say that's probably worth it in and of itself.
That's a big deal.
You know. So, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We
It's
appreciate
always-
it very,
always
very
my
much.
pleasure.
And we'll have you back again, probably in another 7-8 months.
I'll be ready. Just give a call.
After the next season ends.
Sounds great.
All right, we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we will be joined by some folks who are going to be talking about an upcoming memorial ride, which helps fund the Old Glory Honor Flights. We'll be right back.
Every year, the U.S. Department of the Treasury receives about 1.4 million reports of problems with paper checks. Checks can be lost, stolen, or delayed. If you still receive Social Security payments by paper check, Treasury wants you to know about a safer, more convenient way to get your money. The Direct Express Prepaid Debit MasterCard. The Direct Express card is new and is available to anyone receiving Social Security benefits, even if you don't have a bank account. Your monthly benefits will be automatically placed onto your card account each month on the day your money is due. While other debit cards cost money, it is possible to use the Direct Express card for free to make purchases, pay bills, and get cash at thousands of locations nationwide. There are no sign-up or monthly account fees. No more waiting for the mail or worrying about lost or stolen checks. Call 1-877-212-9991 or visit www.usdirectexpress.com.
Welcome back to the second half on Eye on Oshkosh. We're here now. To my left is Shirlie Rae, Becky Schewe, and to my right is Lorraine Van Kampen. They are going to be talking tonight, as I mentioned before the break, about the memorial ride that's upcoming. It's called the Fehlberg Memorial Ride, and we'll be talking about what that's all about, what it's for, and that's going to lead us into the Old Glory Honor Flight. So anyway, thanks to all of you for being here tonight.
Thanks
we
for
appreciate it. So we're going to talk about the memorial ride first. How did it get its name? Let's start there.
Fehlberg is actually named after one of our committee members, Michelle Lindbergh. Her uncle was a Vietnam vet, and he eventually died as a result of the Agent Orange. So she wanted to do a memorial motorcycle ride in his honor. So it's the Fehlberg Memorial Veterans Ride, but a lot of people know it as just the Vets Ride.
Okay, all right. And when is it exactly?
This year it is on June 14th.
Okay.
It is always the second Saturday of June.
Okay.
We will be doing registration at the Waters in New London. Registration is from 9 until 11, and the ride leaves at 11:30. We do approximately 150 miles and end at Bean City, also in New London.
Wow. So it starts where and it ends where?
The Waters is
Okay.
where it starts.
Okay.
And then we end at Bean City Supper Club.
Wow. That's a long time to be, that's many, many miles to be sitting on a motorcycle.
It is.
How do you prepare for 150 miles on a bike?
We tell everybody to make sure you find the restrooms and use the restrooms before we leave, because there's a lot of miles in between the stops. But everybody's kind of used to it. They look forward to it. It's a great ride. We do as much scenic roads as we can. Each year we have a Grand Marshal, which is a military veteran. This year we happen to have 2. Both of them are from the World War II, and they're from New London. Shirley took care of doing interviews with them.
Okay.
So we have Del Otis is one of them, and Evan Voss is another. And both of them are in their 90s right now.
Wow.
And both are still married and have been married, and each in their own right served. Del Otis was with the Coast Guard, and Evan Voss was in the Army. And they both had their own jobs to do in the military, and they both came out alive, thank God, and decorated. So
wow.
And they will be joining us on the ride.
Yes.
They come along on the ride. Usually we have some vehicle for them. This year we have a very stretched out limousine that they are going to be able to take their spouses along on the ride, and they'll get the full experience of what it is, and a lot of the riders who come will go and meet them and hear their story. It's just a great day to share all the memories.
So you don't make them ride motorcycles?
Don't make them ride motorcycles. They can if they want to. We've had a past Grand Marshal who did ride a motorcycle. Yeah. But yes, we try to make it as accommodating for them at 90 years old that they don't have to ride on a motorcycle.
I think a limo is a great idea. So how many riders usually do you have at something like this?
It varies. A lot of it is dependent on the weather. We average anywhere between 200 to 300 motorcycles.
Wow.
So depending upon if they have passengers, we look at anywhere between 350 to 450 people will show up the day of. So it's a lot to get organized. We have a 18-person committee that we start meeting in January for a June ride.
Yeah, and I'm going to make a comment on that because I'm kind of the newbie in the committee, and coming in from out of town as well as coming in new, the people on this committee are members of the community. I mean, they're county workers, they're truck drivers, they're bartenders, nurses, students. I mean, they're part of the community. And when you look at all of that, none of it matters. The only thing that matters to these people is the passion that they have for their veterans and getting them on the Old Glory Honor Flight. It's like that is their main focus the whole entire year, because that's about how long it takes to get all of this. Once it's all done, everybody goes, we can breathe for a little bit, but everybody's right back in on it starting for the next year. And so I have to commend them because there is really a great group of people putting this together.
Well, it sounds like you all work really well together, no matter how many times or how many years you've worked together, you know.
And this is the 6th annual, so and it's getting bigger every year.
Bigger every year.
How many started out the first year?
The first year, it was a 4-person committee was putting the ride together, and I can't remember exactly, but we had roughly 117, 120 bikes that year, and it just gradually gotten bigger and bigger. The last 4 years, we've done a raffle where we have given away a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. So this year, you can win a 2014 Switchback, or you can take a $10,000 cash option. There's also a $500 winner, a $300 winner, and a $200 winner. And we only sell 1,500 tickets, so your odds are better.
Okay.
And they're $20 a ticket. If anybody's in the New London area, Shirley is selling them at the Festival Foods in New London this Saturday.
Okay.
Otherwise, the bike and tickets are available at Appleton Harley-Davidson. And if anybody really wants tickets, they can reach us on Facebook or track one of the committee members down, and we'll definitely get tickets to them.
Now, when you say this Saturday, we're taping this on the 22nd of May, so that would be May 24th. If you're watching this after May 24th, obviously Shirley won't be there.
Then they'll have to go to the Appleton House.
Yeah, and the bike is on display there, so it's right when you walk in the main doors, and they do have the tickets available, so you have both the visual and the opportunity to purchase a ticket.
And it's where again, the Appleton Harley shop?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know where they are by chance? They're in Appleton, of
They're
course. But
right
are they
off of Highway 15.
Okay.
I don't know their side street, but it's right off of Highway 15.
McCarthy.
Okay. All right. Well, and somebody can Google that, and yes, they are on Facebook as well. Just go to Facebook and look up Fehlberg Memorial Veterans Ride, or if you just type in Veterans Ride, it'll probably come up that way as well. So now, does all the money that you raise go to the honor flight, or does it?
All the money that we raise off of our raffle tickets, that all goes to the Old Glory Honor Flight. We do make money off of the registration. We have bucket prizes, just general donations, and that some of that will go to Old Glory Honor Flight, but we also give to our local VFW in New London, and we've also given to the disabled veterans. So the majority of the money goes to the Old Glory Honor Flight.
Okay, all right.
You should mention how much we raised last year. Okay. That's fine.
All right. Anything else specifically about the upcoming ride, or should we talk the rest of the way about the honor flight?
We do have offer pre-registration if anybody wants to pre-register at a discounted rate. Up until May 31st, it would be $15 per bike, $20 if you have a passenger. After May 31st, it's the regular registration, which is $20 per bike, $30 with a passenger.
Okay, all right.
And if people don't want to go on the ride, we will be at Bean City after 6 o'clock, I believe, correct?
Correct. And then if they want to just enjoy, we have entertainment, we have the meal. Anybody coming
the
out
veterans
that just wants to enjoy the meal and the entertainment, it's a $10 meal ticket.
Okay, and where is Bean City? Where is that?
To describe that, it's off of Manski.
It's on Bean City Road.
It's on Bean City Road.
Bean City Road.
If you were to get there from the highway, you'd be on Highway 45. You can take Manski Road to Bean City Road. It's out in the country, but it's a big enough area so that when we have that many people and that many bikes together, we can spread out and everybody can enjoy it.
Sure. Okay.
Accommodate as well.
All right, excellent. And the more we talk, I may have some other questions. So thank you for being here as well. So let's talk about this Old Glory Honor Flight, Lorraine. I have to say, my father just did it in April.
Oh,
and he was in the Korean War, and my brother went with him as an escort, and he just had absolutely the very best time. And it was kind of an interesting story. I don't always share a lot of personal things on camera about my life, but my father is terminal with cancer, and he had been on a waiting list. And when we found out, his diagnosis and prognosis, we talked to the folks at the Appleton office, and they said, just get a doctor's statement. We did that, and they not only got my father moved up, but they got his Army buddies moved up as well. And so they could all go on the flight together. And so that was really something very, very touching for him, and it was touching for us as his kids and family members. And so he did. He had the best time, and my father doesn't always show the most emotion in the world, as a lot of fathers don't, but he was touched by that.
I appreciate that.
So thank you for what all of you guys do.
Absolutely.
So I know a little bit about the honor flight,
Yes.
but a lot of people don't. And
Correct.
so why don't we just start by talking about what it is?
The honor flight out of Appleton and honor flights across the country, our mission is to fly our local World War II and Korean War veterans, and also terminally ill veterans of any war, to see the memorials in Washington, D.C. This, in most cases, is their final tour of honor, and they deserve that. And so to get them there, give them a safe honor, the tour of the day, they really appreciate that, and they carry that with them the rest of their lives. And having these ladies and the rest of the group from the Fehlberg Riders means a lot to Old Glory Honor Flight, because if it was not for the donations, we would not be able to do what we do on our end. And last year, these people raised over $14,000 for Old Glory Honor Flight, and through the years, they've given more than $32,000 to Old Glory Honor Flight. So they've helped fly a lot of veterans, and it's pretty special to everyone.
Yeah. Well, again, on behalf of, my family. Thank you for everything
You're
that you
welcome.
guys are doing. Do you raise funds or get funds raised for you in other ways as well?
Oh,
or is
absolutely.
this it?
No,
Okay.
well, it takes people like this.
Sure,
But
sure.
we had a kindergarten class that sold pencils and gave us a check for $200. And Oshkosh Defense has been a huge contributor to the honor flight through the years. There's brat fries, there's rummage sales, there's schools that raise money, there's church groups that raise money. There's so many things out there that people do. We're to the point now where we are very blessed because we do not have to go out in the communities and ask people for money. They know what we do, they know what we offer. Their families, in many cases, have been involved in an honor flight, and they're willing to do it to help other veterans get there. And one of the things that I always say, we have the fortunate honor, yet very unfortunate honor of being mentioned in many, many obituaries. And we get memorials in memory of those veterans sent our way. And their last wishes were to make sure that others get there or to get this tour of honor. So it's extremely important to all that are involved.
Sure. And, I have to say that, of course, the night that they came back, the whole family went to Appleton for their return, and you guys keep it a good secret from them as to what's going to happen, even on the flight back.
Correct.
Tell folks about the mail call, because that is one of the things that just the whole day kind of blew my father away. But that was something, not just the fact that you did it, but all the letters that were written and given to him on the plane and to the other vets was really something.
Right. The veterans definitely remember mail call from service years. And so on the flight back home, our president gets up and says, how many of you veterans remember mail call? And of course they all do. And we say, well, we have mail call. We have made contact with a family member of all of the veterans or a close friend and ask them to get as many letters from other family members, from friends, from church groups, from schools, and have them write to their veteran. And then those letters are accumulated. We have a group of volunteers who sort all these letters for all the veterans, and they're put into a packet for the veterans to receive on the flight home. And we have a couple of reasons for doing this. It engages the whole family and many friends with the veterans, and it also keeps the veterans awake on the way home. After a very long day,
it is a long day.
You don't want a veteran to get tired and lethargic, so you want them engaged throughout the day, including the flight home, because when they get back to Appleton, there's a huge surprise waiting for them there.
There is.
Also. And it's pretty impressive.
And we're not going to talk about that surprise because that
Thank
would
you.
ruin it
Thank
for future flights. So we're not going to say anything about that. But it is impressive as well.
It is. It is.
And just the number of people who show up. I mean,
It is.
It was tough because I went up there right from taping a show here. And I'm like, God, I'm not going to find a place to park. And that was like a self-fulfilling prophecy because I almost did not. I mean, it was awful. And it was raining, and I just said, just drop me off.
That was, as a matter of fact, April 3rd was
Yes.
the flight that I had coordinated. And we were so happy because in the morning it was extremely cold when we left Appleton, and it was very warm when we got to D.C. Yet the veterans, of course, they're always cold, so they enjoyed their jackets, and we had a great day.
Yeah, it was really something. So how many flights a year do you do?
This year we are going to actually end up doing 6.
Okay.
When we opened it up to the Korean War veterans, we got bombarded. We received over 500 applications in a matter of 3 months. So there's a process. It's based on first come, first serve, and we usually have done 4 or 5 flights a year. This year we are doing 5 flights for World War II Korea and terminally ill veterans of any war. And we're teaming up with the EAA here in Oshkosh and American Airlines, and we will again be offering a very special flight on August 1st out of the EAA. We will be taking at least 100 Vietnam veterans to Washington, D.C. again this year. And we will open up that application will be on our website or on our Facebook. You'll be able to find out the information, but that will start as of May 30th. Applications will be accepted through June 23rd. This is called the Yellow Ribbon Honor Flight, so they will need to have the special yellow ribbon on the application in order to qualify for that flight.
Okay.
It will be a lottery. So we will take all those names and put them in a drum and roll and pick.
All right. And we've been putting up, I think, the website address.
Sure.
So that people can go there and either, enroll or register, or they can just look and look for more information and see what it's all about.
Right.
Because, you see the commercials on TV frequently for the Old Glory Honor Flight.
Yes.
But unless you've really been around the military or you've had someone who has done it, you don't necessarily understand what it exactly is or what is involved with it.
Correct.
Let's talk just a little bit. I'm not even sure how much time we have left here, but let's talk for a little bit about the different sites that they go to in D.C.
Sure. Of course, this was started specifically for the World War II vets because their memorial was built later than any of the other memorials, and they were so up in age, and it was very hard for them to visit. So our first stop of the day is the World War II Memorial. We then go to the Triangle, which is the Korean War Memorial, and we're flying many Korean War vets now, which also has the Lincoln Memorial and the Vietnam Wall there. Then we head off to Iwo Jima, which is the Marine Memorial. We typically see the Air Force Memorial. Every so often we are blessed by having a drill team do a performance with us. That takes a lot of pulling strings. And then we always wrap up the day at Arlington National Cemetery for the changing of the guard, which is very special for all these vets.
And it is a long day, too. I think they departed Appleton at like 6:30 or 7 in the morning and got back around 8:15 or so at night.
Correct.
And so that made for a very, very long day. And I know every one of those vets slept well when they got home that night. They maybe even slept on the way home. So,
yes.
So, all right, anything else that you feel people should know about the Old Glory Honor Flight?
Well, as I said, it does take the donations. So people like the Fehlberg riders are extremely important to the Old Glory Honor Flight. We currently are looking for the D-Day veterans because there is an event going on in Madison. The 70th anniversary of D-Day is June 6th, so we are looking for D-Day veterans. And we hope to find more than we have right now. But if any veterans, if family members are interested in having a family member who is a veteran go on the honor flight, please get their application in. We've already done 2 flights this year. We are actually on mission 24 for Old Glory Honor Flight coming up on June 17th. And we have 87 veterans confirmed for that flight currently. And it's just a great day. So if you have a veteran that's interested, please get them to sign up because we've got at least a year waiting list right now.
Wow. That's incredible. I don't know when my father first registered, I don't know how long of a waiting list there was, but I know that it was a while out.
Yeah.
So again, I'm very grateful that you guys were able to do what you did. What kinds of comments do you hear from people, either from the vets or the family members, when they come back after they've experienced this really very touching and remarkably wonderful day?
One of the stories that I always tell, and if I get a little emotional, I apologize.
That's all right. I've been fighting it back a little myself.
One of the stories I always tell is of a veteran, a World War II veteran that we had with us on a flight last year. And he got his mail call on the flight home, and we usually go through the aircraft, shake all their hands, thank them for flying with us, and tell them that we appreciate their service and what they did for this country. And he was in tears. And I asked him what I could do for him. And he held my hand, pulled me to my knees next to him in the aircraft, and he was sobbing. And he said, "Lorraine, I lost my 2 best friends in that war. I saw them die, and today I let them go." 70 years he held that inside of him, and he finally let that go.
Wow.
That's what we do. That's what we hope to give them as closure. And we hear that from family members also, that my father, my grandfather, my uncle finally could let go of that war.
Mm-hmm. I do know at the airport there were many people selling different things. I know when you first walked into the airport, I don't know if you were there that night or if you were actually on the plane.
I was on the plane.
Okay, but I know that there were some ladies selling some things.
On our flight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, throughout the airport terminal, there were different booths set up with things that you could buy, whether it's flags or what have you. Do you ever need volunteers to man those booths, or are there volunteer opportunities that people can
There are
partake of?
always volunteer opportunities. We have, Appleton Airport has been fabulous with providing us the vehicle to get these flights off the ground, and they allow the merchandise booths to come in, and we sell our merchandise to make money. And many times there's people needed to help sell the merchandise, to do the flags, to help with the kids, because sometimes they do posters for the kids that they can welcome Grandpa home. And there's a lot going on. There's a swing time band there. There's a lot going on in the airport. So volunteers are always welcome. Always welcome. And all you got to do is go to our website and send us a message.
Okay.
And we would be happy to try to find a job for you.
Okay, all right. And I'm assuming it's like with most or all volunteer opportunities, you can volunteer as little or as much as you're
Correct.
able or desire to. Right?
Correct. Actually, some of the Fehlberg group usually come before the flights in the morning, and they help get the veterans from the cars into wheelchairs to the aircraft, get them to the ticket counter, get them their shirts. So there's always volunteers
Okay.
going.
All right. Okay. Anything else about the honor flight that you think would be important for people to know?
I think I've said quite a bit, actually. But I could go on talking about the honor flight for a very long time. I'm very passionate about the honor flight. I think the Fehlberg riders have become very passionate about the honor flight. Some of them have had the opportunity to go as a guardian on the honor flight and take a veteran who does not have someone to go with them.
Sure.
So it's been a good relationship, and we appreciate what they do to help the honor flight, and we appreciate what the communities throughout Northeast Wisconsin do to help the honor flight.
Sure. Well, with about just a couple of minutes or so remaining, just tell us briefly what this means to you personally.
Well,
And then I'm going to ask you guys too. So
sure.
be thinking about your answers.
I retired, my husband and I retired from business last year, and we have been involved with the honor flight since 2010. And we jumped in with both feet. We decided that this was really important because if it wasn't for the men and women of World War II and wars to follow, we would not have the freedoms that we have today. My grandfathers both were World War I. My father-in-law was World War II. My husband and my brother were Vietnam. My son is an Afghan vet. He was first boots on the ground after 9/11, and now my grandson is in the Army. So it kind of runs in the blood in the family, and just giving the respect and the honor that they deserve. Americans need to do that. Americans need to make sure that veterans of all wars, and even those who were not of wartime, they need to know that they are appreciated for what they do for this country. So I just think it's important.
Absolutely. Well, what do you guys, what is it about this ride and being able to help out this great cause? What is it that is so important to the two of you?
For me, it's interviewing the veterans and getting the stories out and networking for them. It's the riders who come that day that actually get to walk up to the veterans and talk, and the veterans talk to the riders and they tell the stories, and those stories get out, whereas they may not have gotten out if it weren't for the ride. And that's really important for them. They get really emotional when they're talking about their stories, and some of them prefer not to, but when you're in an environment where there's a group of people who are supporting you, who have, who served the country,
Right.
they open up and they'll talk a little bit.
Sure.
And that's the opportunity for us to say thank you.
Okay. How about for you?
That's very similar to the way I feel. It's the thank you. It's, you see the veterans, you may see some scars, but you may not. They hold, their stories close inside. It's just being able to say thank you, and whether it's shaking their hand in a thank you or donating money to the Old Glory Honor Flight so that they can go and get closure or see the memorials that were truly built in their honor, and
Sure.
just getting them to be able to see them. And we have a great committee, just us all coming together and working together. It's a big thank you. It's so fulfilling to see.
Really hoping that the fellow riders out there come on June 14th, come out to the Water Supper Club in New London and join us and meet the veterans and spend the day with us and end up at Bean City. And
Okay. All right, excellent. Well, very good. So, as you said, thank you. Thank you to the three of you. Thank you to all of you at home for joining us. And this is going to air after Memorial Day, but it's never an improper or a wrong time to say thank you to the many vets who have served this country. And so, from all of us at Ion Oshkosh to any vet out there, thank you for your service to this wonderful country. We will see you next time. Until then, take care. Keep your eye on us. We've got our eye on Oshkosh.